Hello again. In the last video we set up what to spawn, the type of pickups, and so now we're going to make the final piece, which is when to spawn those pickups. We're going to do that here in code, and then we'll switch over to the editor and actually start spawning some batteries. So let's get started. We're going to make the spawn timer and the when to spawn protected, so let's just in our header go into our protected section and we'll start adding some code. So we want to have a handle to the timer, and that is a ftimer handle, and we're going to call this the spawn timer. This is also going to be following right along with Epic's version of this tutorial, so if you've already done it, this will look very familiar. So this is going to be access to the timer for recurring spawning. And then we also need to know when to spawn in terms of setting a random value between a low and a high, a min and a max. And so we're going to define both of those. So they're going to be floating point values. This is going to be the spawn delay range low, and we're going to have the spawn delay range high. So we'll have a low and a high, or a min and a max. Now these are both going to be U properties. They're going to be edit anywhere, blueprint read write, and then they'll be in the category spawning. And we'll just put the exact same thing in both places, and let's add a note that this is the minimum spawn delay, and all this is in seconds, by the way. And this is the maximum spawn delay, also in seconds. And then, having defined a min and max that people can change in the editor and instances of the volume, we're actually going to track the actual spawn delay for the next spawn as a private variable, so nobody has access to that one. So this is going to be the actual spawn delay, and that is going to be the actual time, again in seconds, before spawning the next pickup. Okay, so that's pretty much everything we need to define in the header. So we can just flip over to our implementation, our C++ file, and start implementing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is set some default values for our min-max. Of course, these are going to be edited almost on a per volume basis in our levels, but we're going to go ahead and set some base values that make sense for the range. And so we're going to also, you'll notice we're doing that inside the authority guard because there's no reason that clients should see even this. So we're just going to set a range of 1 to 4.5 seconds. So spawn delay range high, and let's just make that 4.5 seconds. Okay, and so now we've got the min-max. So now we need to actually start, spawning pickups, and we're going to do that when the level starts. So in begin play, this is where we'll set the delay for our first spawn, so the actual delay time, which is spawn delay, and we're going to use another handy math function, fmath, so frand range. That's going to give us a random value between a min and a max. So where do we get the min and the max? Well, of course, we have our low and our spawn delay range high. So there's our min-max. I can get the semicolon right spot. There we go. That'll give us the delay time, and now we need to set the timer. So we get the world timer manager and set a timer. And we're going to pass our handle for the spawn timer. This is the class. We need a reference to what function we want the timer to call, which is spawn pickup. And how long is it going to take until they do it? Well, spawn delay, seconds. And we're going to say false, do not repeat. So only do this once. So add a note that this is set the timer to start spawning pickups. Okay, and now what we're going to do is this will only spawn one pickup. Since we said false, don't repeat, this will spawn the first pickup. how we're going to spawn subsequent pickups is we're going to copy that code and paste it down here at the end of our spawn pickup. So once we've spawned a pickup, we now are going to delay for a bit before spawning the next pickup. And there's that same code. Now, if you're a seasoned programmer, or if this looks a little bit fishy to you, then you are absolutely right. We should never copy and paste blocks of logical code like this. And the reason is because now, if we wanted to make any changes to it, we would actually have to maintain that in two different places. So that's always bad. So anytime you copy-paste code like this, you're looking at a good candidate for creating a function. So normally that's what we would do, is create a function, then we'd make calls to that function so that we're maintaining code, all the logic in one location. But suffice to say that that's not necessary here, because in reality we're going to make changes later, and we will do exactly that. So this is relatively temporary, and in a few videos we'll make some changes. Okay, so we are all done with that. We've now set up our spawn delay. We've got a range in there, so people can set that. Designers can set that when they're implementing these things, adding these volumes to the world, and so forth. And we actually set the delay and start spawning these pickups. So now we can switch back over to our editor, and now we can take the spawn volume and drag and drop one in there, drop an instance of the volume into the world, and I'm just going to hit R so I can resize it, make it a little bit bigger. Here I'm just going to spread it out a little bit like that. That looks pretty good. We'll do a much better job of this here in a little while in a few videos, but this is just to see it actually start happening. So we've got a spawn volume, and now we can look down, and here's our spawning category that we created. What to spawn, we need to define this. So we actually tell it to use that battery, the BP battery blueprint class that we set up. So we can leave it at the default range for right now, and let's just see what happens. So if we hit play, then we wait for a few seconds, and boom, a battery dropped. And those are all going to start falling out of that volume, sort of random points within that volume, over time. And if we wanted to, we could speed this up to get a few more batteries, so I'm just going to exit. And then I'm going to make this delay smaller. So let's make it between 0.2 and 1.2 seconds. So those are going to be the values. Now let's hit play. And we should see, oh, now we're spawning batteries out of that volume much more quickly. So for batteries, let's make it rain. Okay, good times. Now we're all done with the spawn volume. So now that we're finished with that, in the next video we're actually going to extend our character class and start dealing with collecting these pickups so that we can pick them up rather than just kind of running over them. Okay, I'll see you then.